So hello, it's Lynn here from the Learn English Network at the English Book Club, and we're starting a new book today. Now, did anybody see which book we're starting to read? Eleanor, I think you've shared the link, yes?
Yes, I've opened a new document, Google Doc,
Thank you.
with
Excellent.
vocabulary.
Thank you very much. Good. Well, the actual book is here. Okay, and it was originally written as a children's book. It is a children's book by somebody called Edith Nesbit, but it was a little bit like Charles Dickens in that initially the book was written in different parts. It was a serialized a series of stories written for a newspaper. Okay, and she was an author. She wrote fantasy and horror, believe it or not. So she was very interested in the supernatural and fairies. Yes, Edith Nesbit. Yeah. So yes, I know, isn't it nice? We've read a lot of books written by men recently, and we're back to a female author. Now, Five Children and It is about a family of children. Well, it's about the children, basically. Mainly it's about the children. 5 of them. There's the clues in the title. And it. Now, has anybody looked online to see what it is, apart from Eleanor?
I have, but
What is it, then? Eleanor, go on. What's it? When it says 5 children, clear, it.
it's ancient sand fairy
Yeah!
buried in the sand. So.
Yeah, that's right. It's a fairy. It is a fairy. And she made up the name for the fairy, a Samiad. Samiad. I think it's a silent P, like Psalm. So Samiad. That's one word that really you can pronounce it however you want, because I've no idea, and she's no longer with us, sadly, Edith Nesbit, so we can't ask her. Oh, Shiny, you're moving house. Ah, so exciting. Do you know it's one of the most stressful things you can do? Moving house, having a baby, getting married. 1 out of 3, Shiny. Oh, well, it's going to be fun. You'll love it. The nice thing about moving house is you can start again, clear out all the old stuff and rearrange everything, and then just, the way you envisage it. It's when you've been living in a place for a while, you get kind of stuck in your ways and you can't be bothered to move anything. I hope it goes well. Okay, so these children, they are sent away on holiday. Now, the toddler, the very young child, is often sort of has to go. The children have to look after the toddler, okay? And again, a lot of families ran like this, that the parents had the children and the children would look after each other from the oldest to the youngest. So there's the 5 children, and then there's the fairy. Now, the fairy, like most fairies, grants wishes, but he's a grumpy fairy and doesn't like to grant wishes, okay? He's very bad-tempered, and he does not like granting wishes because it's tiring and they normally go wrong. Yeah, it looks like a no-go. Well, nobody really knows what children what children look like, what fairies look like. Not really. So quite often you say fairy and you think of these beautiful creatures with wings and bright colours, and I kind of like the way Edith Nesbit's portrayed it as, not the most beautiful creature in the world, shall we say. Okay, each wish will end at sunset. Okay, so when the children find this fairy and it grants their wishes, it's with a caveat, a warning, that the wishes end at sunset. Okay? And of course, in the nature of children, if you're offered a wish, what do you do? Even if you're warned, oh, it'll probably go wrong. If you were offered a wish, would you take it? Would you make a wish, April?
I don't know. At this moment, I don't have any wishes. So I don't think so.
Awesome.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid actually. If
What would you be afraid of?
Yeah, and it it is going in the different way that it is not the way that I wanted actually. Not the you say something. I wish that, but then you regret your wish, and what then? You can't send it back. It is already there. Oh no! I always think of the wish Aladdin with lamp, the lamp of Aladdin. I mean, not our Aladdin, Aladdin lamp, and the giant ghosts will come there. That is in my mind. If you say to me a wish, I always think of that. So it frightens me.
So you're frightened
actually.
it could go wrong. Well, we do have a saying in English, be careful what you wish for. You might wish for eternal peace. Well, death is very peaceful. Okay. You might wish for world peace.
Yeah.
Well, the world would be very peaceful if it wasn't for humans. So, you just have to really be careful what you wish for. What about you guys? Muzz, Shiny, Eleanor. Would you just take the wish, or would you be worried like April?
I think I would. Yeah, it's risky, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. What do you think?
I think you're very brave, but I think you're very human. I think most people would think, if I'm really careful, if I'm very specific, what could go wrong? Shiny, sure I would.
It's illusory. No.
To go back from the past, I mean. So I can fix my mistakes before, so everything will
Wow,
be better for me.
Oh my god, that is so dangerous, Moz.
What I mean.
Well, what if you correct a so-called mistake and then you realise you've made everything so much worse?
Oh, really? How about the way I was doing so many things in the past, so I was thinking if I can change it, and I don't have any idea in why it will become worse.
Well, there are so many possibilities. There are so many actions. Okay, so you go back in the past and you say to your past self, don't go out tonight with your friends, stay home and study, and you pass all your exams with flying colours and you get a fantastic job, and then the company goes bankrupt and you're accused of fraud and just an example. Well, you say you have nothing to lose, but it's more than just loss. It's about all the different possibilities that can go wrong. I think if you're in a place where you like yourself now, even if you're not quite where you thought you would be when you were younger, I think we need to value that personally. But that's a scary wish, Mars, going back in the past to correct your mistakes. First, you have to recognise your mistakes. Okay, so has everybody opened the book? Yep. Okay, Shiny, have you got the book open? We'll start with the little note to John Bland. And whenever you're ready, Shiny, if you would like to start reading.
To John Bland, you mean this part?
Yeah, that part, and then just carry on reading till I tell you to stop, okay?
Okay. My name. You are so very small. You have not learned to read at all. Yet never a printed book withstands the urgence of your dimpled hands. So though this book is for yourself, let mother keep it on the shelf till you can read. Oh, days that pass, that day will come too soon. Alas, beautiful as the day, the house was 3 miles from the station, but before the dusty hired bride had rattled along for 5 minutes, the children began to put their heads out of the carriage window and to say, "Aren't we nearly there?" And every time they passed the house, which was not very often, they all said, "Oh, is this it?" But it never was, till they reached the very top of the hill, just past the chalk quarry, and before you come to the gravel pit. And then there was a white house with a green garden and an orchard beyond. And mother said, "Here we are." "How white the house is," said Robert. "And look at the roses," said Anthea. "And the plums," said Jen. It is rather decent," Cyril admitted. The baby said, "Want to go walking?" And the fly stopped with the last rattle and jolt. Everyone got its legs kicked or its feet trodden on in the scramble to get out of the carriage that very minute, but no one seemed to mind. Mother, curiously enough, was in no hurry to get out, and even when she had come down slowly and by the step, and with no jump at all, she seemed to wish to see the boxes carried in, and even to pay the driver, instead of joining in that first glorious rush round the garden and the orchard and the thorny, thistly, weedy, bramble, wilderness beyond the broken gate and the dry fountain at the side of the house. But the children were wiser for once. It was not really a pretty house at all. It was quite ordinary, and mother thought it was rather inconvenient, and was quite annoyed at there being no shelves to speak of, and hardly a cupboard in the place. Father used to say that the ironwork on the roof and coping was like an architect's nightmare. But the house was deep in the country, with no other house in sight, and the children had been in London for 2 years, without so much as once going to the seaside, even for a day, by an excursion train. And so the White House seemed to them a sort of fairy place, set down in an earthly paradise. For London is like prison for children, especially if their relations are not rich. Of course, there are the shops and the theaters, and masculine, and cooks and things. But if your people are rather poor, you don't get taken to the theaters, and you can't buy things out of the shops, and London has none of those nice things that children may play with without hurting the things or themselves, such as trees and sand and woods and waters. And nearly everything in London is the wrong sort of shape. All straight lines and flat streets instead of being all sorts of odd shapes like things are in the country. These are all different, as you know, and I'm sure some tiresome person must have told you that there are no two blades of grass exactly alike, but in streets where the blades of grass don't grow, everything is like everything else. This is why so many children who live in towns are so extremely naughty. They do not know what is the matter with them, and no more do their fathers and mothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, tutors, governesses, and nurses. But I know, and so do you know, children in the country are naughty sometimes, but that is for quite different reasons. The children have dimpled. No, I don't have those dimples. Often. Often.
That's it. Oh, yeah. Let me drop the T. Okay.
They. Jane. 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 Jane.
That's that. Yeah. To an
Hack. Hack.
That's it. Good. So, Raya or
Briary, brambly wilderness. Ironwork. Two. Two yards. 2 years. 2 years. Palace.
Next,
Taken. Shape. Shape. Fathers and mothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, tutors, governesses, and nurses. Cousins. Cousins. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Oh, I'd muted that, so I hope everybody heard it. Oh, let me just read that out again. So, dimpled, often, they, Jane, hack, briery, brambly, wilderness, ironwork, 2 years, palace, taken, shape, and no more do their fathers and mothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, tutors, governesses, and nurses. Suddenly realised my mic was muted on the other side on the stream. Okay, so Eleanor, I think, is next. Eleanor, whenever you are ready, if you'd like to read.
The children had explored the gardens and the outhouses thoroughly before they were caught and cleaned for tea, and they saw quite well that they were certain to be happy in the White House. They thought so from the first moment, but when they found the back of the house covered with jasmine, and in white flower, and smelling like a bottle of the most expensive scent that is ever given for a birthday present, and when they had seen the lawn, all green and smooth, and quite different from the brown grass in the gardens at Camden Town, and when they had found the stable with a loft over it, and some old hay still left, they were almost certain. And when Robert had found a broken swing, and tumbled out of it, and got a lump on his head the size of an egg, and Cyril had nipped his finger in the door of a hutch that seemed made to keep rabbits in, if you ever had any, they had no longer any doubts whatever. The best part of it all was that there were no rules about not going to places and not doing things. In London, almost everything is labelled, you mustn't touch, and though the label is invisible, it's just as bad, because you know it's there, or if you don't, you jolly soon get told. The White House was on the edge of a hill, with a wood behind it, and the chalk quarry on one side, and the gravel pit on the other. Down at the bottom of the hill was a level plain with queer-shaped white buildings where people burned lime, and a big red brewery and other houses. And when the big chimneys were smoking and the sun was setting, the valley looked as if it was filled with golden mist, and the lime kilns and earth houses glimmered and glittered till they were like an enchanted city out of the Arabian Nights. Now that I have begun to tell you about the place, I feel that I could go on and make this into a most interesting story about all the ordinary things that the children did, just the kind of things you do yourself, you know, and you would believe every word of it. And when I told about the children's being tiresome, as you are sometimes, your aunts would perhaps write in the margin of the story with a pencil, how true, or how like life, and you would see it and very likely be annoyed. So I will only tell you the really astonishing things that happened, and you may leave the book quite safely, or no aunts and uncles either are likely to write how true on the edge of the story. Grown-up people find it very difficult to believe really wonderful things, unless they have what they call proof. But children will believe almost anything, and grown-ups know this. That is why they tell you that the earth is round like an orange, when you can see perfectly well that it is flat and lumpy. And why they say that the earth gets round the sun, when you can see for yourself any day that the sun gets up in the morning, and goes to bed at night by a good sun as it is, and the earth knows its place and lies as still as a mouse. Yet I dare say you believe all that about the earth and the sun, and if so, you will find it quite easy to believe that before Antia and Cyril and the others had been a week in the country, they had found a ferry. At least they called it that, because that was what it called itself. And of course they knew best, but it was not at all like any ferry you ever saw or heard of or read about. It was at the gravel pits, Father had to go away suddenly on business, and Mother had gone away to stay with Granny, who was not very well. They both went in a great hurry, and when they were gone, the house seemed dreadfully quiet and empty, and the children wandered from one room to another and looked at the bits of paper and string on the floors left over from the packing and not yet cleared up, and wished they had something to do. It was Silly who said, "I say, let's take our Margate spades and go and dig in the gravel pits. We can pretend it's seaside." Father said it was once, Antia said. He says there are shells there thousands of years old.
Very good.
So they were...
Oh, okay,
Oh,
well
yeah.
done. I know, it's like, I want to carry on. That was really well done, well written, well read, I mean. Let me just set my, stop, that's it, okay. Just setting my timer so everybody gets the same. Okay, nicely read. Just a couple of tiny little corrections. Okay. In fact, the first correction, you kind of corrected yourself later, but I'll just stress it. Okay. Fairy. It's got a long air sound. Because if you say ferry or ferry, it's too much like ferry, as in ferry across the... Funny enough, we were talking about ferries in today's session, but ferry, fairy. You can hear the difference?
Yeah, very well.
Okay,
yeah.
so try it, fairy.
Fairy.
Yes.
Fairy.
The second
Is
time you
better?
said it, it was perfect. But the first time it did sound like a ferry. And then the gravel pits. Okay. It's hyphenated and it's pits. Gravel pits. Try it.
Gravel pits.
Yay, good,
Better?
good. There's lots of gravel pits in the UK, by the way. Often they are then turned into boating lakes. So quite often you'll go to a beautiful area. It's all boating. There's a place called Home Pier Point in Nottingham where I grew up. And it looks beautiful now. It's actually a nature reserve and everything. And it's got canoeing. It's right by the River Trent. And you wouldn't know it, but in the past it was an industrial complex where they were just digging out gravel for building. Okay, it was the gravel pits, and now it's a nature reserve, and a lot of places in the UK were once mines, gravel pits, etc., and they've been turned into something prettier. Okay, so the next one, this is an interjection. Okay, so it's the way he says it. It wouldn't be like I always say this. You know, oh, I always say, what was the word earlier for shiny? Often, yeah? I say often, okay? It's like just a general fact. That's what I say and how I say it. This is more when you're offering a suggestion, yeah? I say... Let's do this. So it's about the it's about how you say, how he says it, and what he's doing is he's making a suggestion. He's saying, "I say, let's take our spades and dig in the gravel pits." He's making a suggestion. So it's not I say, let's take our. That would just be that's what I say all the time. It's more, wow, how about? So instead of I say, you could say, how about we take our spades? But this is say, I say, let's do this. So do you want to try the sentence again, actually, because if you say it on its own, it doesn't make the same amount of sense. So, I say, let's take our spades and dig in the gravel pits. Try it.
I say, let's take our spades and dig in the gravel pits.
Excellent suggestion. Let's do that. Oh, yes, let's. Excellent, well done. And then the last bit, because you've got a slightly different text to what we're reading, you said oast houses, and it doesn't say oast houses in here, but I'm just wondering, do you know what an oast house is?
Yeah, I have found it, but I'm using Gutenberg, so it's somewhat...
Yeah, and so am I. I'm using Gutenberg, but a different text, totally. It's true, honestly. It's bizarre because I was reading. I said, "Well, I know what an oast house is, but it doesn't say oast house in my version." Isn't that weird? But anyway, it must be a different version. It must be a different print. So I'm just trying to find what it was called
A
in...
kiln for drying hops, Osthaus, a building containing such kilns, usually having a conical or pyramidal roof.
Yeah,
It's
then
in my notes.
there are these oast houses are very famous in the south of England. They're very sought after nowadays. I mean, they in the past they were very run down. Nobody wanted to live in them. Now everybody wants an oast house with these strange, hop drying houses. That's what it's in my version, because that's what they were used for drying hop for brewing. There's a lot of hop farms in Kent and down south of England, and they built these oast houses. You can, if you just type into Google image search oast house, you'll see they're very distinctive architecture with these conical parts of the roof where they used to dry the hops. Okay, but that's what it says in my version of the book, Eleanor. Hop drying houses.
It's roughly the same, so
It's
no
exactly the
problem.
same, but the oast house is more specific. Yeah, hop drying houses describes the function. Oast house describes the style and function. Yeah, it's often about that in English. Okay. So any questions
About gravel pits, Lynn. It was in the past a mine, a tin mine, for example. They dig the ground, the earth to take the mine, to take the tin, and then now they, as you said, it becomes a lake, for example. With
mines, no.
turquoise water.
Not so
No?
much mines, no. Mines go underground. Okay, so when people live in an area, if they know it was mined once, they get very worried about subsidence, because the mine could be under your house and it could cause your house to collapse. Okay. Gravel pits are taken from the surface. Remember we were talking about quarries in last week's session, and how quarries are the surface of the ground is removed to make big pits. So gravel pits are like gravel quarries, if you like. Gravel is slightly different to rock. It's more like tiny little stones, gravel, but it's used a lot in building and roads, etc. And even paths for your garden. Front gardens are often gravelled over nowadays, easy maintenance gardens and all that. Gravel pits are the surface. Quarries are the surface. Mines go underground and then along. You don't know there's a mine under your feet until it collapses. Okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was an island, and it has a lot of this kind of pits. I don't know. I think it's a tin. It was a tin there.
Then maybe the tin was
from
very
there.
close to the surface, so they quarried it.
Uh-huh.
But that would be a quarry
yeah,
rather
okay.
than a pit. Okay, that would be a tin quarry.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it is now a beautiful place, but as you said, it is poisonous. You can't play or go to the water because it is poisonous of the mineral, the tin.
The tin, maybe
the
lead,
mineral?
actually. Quite often tin and lead went together in mining and in quarrying, and lead is a deadly poison. I don't know. I think probably it's the lead in the tin. Okay. Any other questions? Is that okay, April? Happy with that?
Okay,
Okay, good.
I have to.
Yeah. Well, as we found out on last Tuesday, the number of different things we have to describe landscapes and to describe the points in the landscape. It's so varied. It's much better if you can see them. But again, Google Images will help you. If you go to Google Images and you type in gravel pit, they will have lots and lots of, here's one straight away. This is a gravel pit, and you'll see its surface. It's the surface that's being removed. And I tell you, that will be turned into lakes. And before you know it, people will be camping there and fishing and. But if you were then to go to and look at Cornish tin mine, maybe, because Cornwall was very famous for its tin mines, then you'll see it's very pole dark. And there's just the mine above, and then everything else is underground, okay? Okie dokie. So, if there are no more questions, I think the next person to read is Moz. Are you ready, Moz?
Yes, Lynn, but unfortunately I forgot to highlight where did she stop.
Whatty stuff? Hey, what?
Stop.
Oh, where
Did she-
April stopped.
Stop. Sorry.
Yeah. April stopped at. If you go to the place where it's.
I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty.
He says there are.
I'm innocent.
He says there are shells
Eleanor
there
has
thousands
that.
of years old. Oh yeah, no, it wasn't April. It was Eleanor. Yeah. Well, thank you, April. You're quite right.
Yes, it was me,
Father
decidedly.
Sorry,
Oh,
April. It's because you were
Father
asking the
said-
question.
Is this your father said it was once?
Yes.
Okay,
So it's
let
from
me find
page
it.
8.
Yeah.
If you're in the paged version, page 8.
Oh, why I can find it?
I don't know.
Let me try again. It was okay. Let me. So then oh no, why? Let me try. Let me one. I lost. Please.
Would you like me just to type it up into local chat?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. There's always a way around these things. Don't worry about it. Don't read the page numbers. It's like page 9, page 8, because that's just my version. Okay, so start reading, and I'll
Okay,
tell you
good.
when to stop. Okay.
Our father says it's okay. Father said it was once, and Leah said he says there are shells there are thousands of years old. So they went. Of course, they had been to the edge of the gravel pit and looked over, but they had not gone down into, for fear father should say they mustn't play there. And it was the same with the chalk quarry. The gravel pit is not really dangerous if you don't try to climb down the edges, but go the slow, safe way round by the road, as if you were a cart. Each of the children carried of its own spade and took it in turns to carry the lamb. He was the baby, and they called him that because Ba was the first thing he ever said. They called Anthea Panther, which seems silly when you read it, but when you say it, it sounds a little like her name. The gravel pit is very large and wide, grass growing round the edges at the top, and dry stringy white flowers, purple and yellow. It is like a giant's washbowl, and there are mounds of gravel and holes in the sides of the bowl where gravel has been taken out of high up in the steep sides. There are the little holes that are the little front doors of the little Bank Martin's little houses. The end. Okay. Uh, the children built a castle, of course, but castle building is rather poor fun when you have no hope of the swishing tide ever coming in to fill up the moat and wash away the drawbridge, and at the happy last to wet everyone up to the waist at least. Cyril wanted to dig out a cave to play smugglers in, but the others thought it might bury them alive. So it ended in all spades going to war to dig a hole through the castle to Australia. These children, you see, believed that the world was round and that the other side, the little Australian boys and girls, were really walking wrong way like flies on the ceiling, with their heads hanging down into the air. The end. The children dug and they dug and they dug, and their hands got sandy and hot, red, and their faces got damp and shiny. The lamb had tried to eat the sand and had cried so hard when he found that it was not as he had supposed brown sugar, that he was now tired out and was lying asleep in a warm fat bunch in the middle of the half-finished castle. This left his brothers and sisters free to work really hard, and the hole that was to come out in Australia soon grew so deep that Jane, who was called Pussy for short, begged the others to stop. Suppose the bottom of the hole gave way suddenly, said she, and you tumbled out among the little Australians. All the sands would get into their eyes. Yes, said Robert, and they would hate us and throw stones at us and not let us see the kangaroos or opossums or blue gums or emu brand birds or anything.
Very good, well done. Okay, guess you finished now. Okay, good. So, couple of words, nicely read, and just a couple of words, so well done. So the first word, you said it again, the first time you said it was a bit strange, second time you said it, it was fine, but let's just confirm the correct way to say it. Edges. The edge, edges.
Edges.
That's it. And then Cyril is his name. I know it's a Y, but we say Cyril, okay?
It's like oats we ate from the supermarket. Cereal.
No, that's cereal. Cereal. Cyril.
Cereal.
Okay, so try both.
Cereal.
Cereal, Cyril.
Cereal.
That's it. Yeah, good. Then the next one, sand, is singular. It's uncountable. So you can hear, sometimes people will say sands, but they kind of mean beaches in that respect. So a beach is countable. Beaches, plural. Sands, if you're talking about White Sands Beach or Quicksands Beach or different beaches, but generally and in this context it's uncountable, it's singular, sand. Okay,
sand. It's only sand. No,
yeah,
S.
no S. You added your own S there. I don't know why, but you did. And then the last one we have at the end, it's a phrasal verb, to take out. Okay, take out.
Take out.
Okay, so where gravel has been taken out. It's sort of one word. It's a phrasal verb, so it runs through. Okay, where gravel has been taken out. Try it.
Where gravel has been taken out.
Yeah, and what they're talking about there is taken out there means removed. Okay, where gravel has been removed, where gravel has been taken out. Okay?
Okay, Lynn, thank you very much, Lynn.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for reading. Okay, any questions?
Did the lamb say ba or ba?
I don't know.
It would
Ba.
say ba.
Ba. Probably ba. Ba. Ba, 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 because babies tend to not elongate things unless they're crying, like when it's like mama, papa, mummy. It's very short, so probably it was ba, 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 ba. But that was enough to get the nickname Lamb.
My lamb say ba, not ba.
Yeah, I know, but you say ba, that's it. You're going to get given the nickname Lamb. Okay, nicely noticed. Well spotted. Indeed, well spotted. Okay, any other questions?
A lot of animals
Yes.
that I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like blue gums. What's that then? Is that an animal?
These are Australian animals, remember. So you're talking Australian animals.
Well,
Again, if you go to the Google Images, then you'll be able to see the different animals there. Okay, so this isn't an animal. Blue gums are trees. A blue gum is a type of tree, a eucalyptus tree. Okay? I know.
Okay.
That's where Google Images will really help. But the idea that, if you dig... I don't know if you believed this when you were a child, that if you dug far enough, you'd end up in Australia. We used to say that a lot in the UK. Oh, if you keep digging, you'll end up in Australia. I don't think I was ever worried about falling through or throwing sand in the Australian children's faces, to be honest. I can't remember that my imagination ever took that went that far. But there you go. That's the kind of thing mothers and fathers say to their children. And we believe them, because why would they wouldn't lie, would they? Okay, so April.
I'm only afraid that I will stick in the middle of the earth, and that is very hot. How many degrees in the middle of the earth?
The centre of
Not
the
in
earth is very
Australia.
hot, yes. I don't think you would survive the journey. The core temperature of the earth, what is it? Anybody know? Let's have a look. Of Earth. The core, 10,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So yeah, I don't think we'd get that far. That's 6,000 degrees Celsius. That's hot, hot, hot. That's according to the National Geographic Society, so I will believe them.
Ah, yeah, okay. I thought that it was only 3,800 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's
But
global
it was
warming
two
for you.
twice as much.
I don't think it matters. Once you get above sort of 150, we're done for anyway. Okay. In fact, once we get around 100 we're done for as humans, so although we seem to think we'll be able to survive. Okay, so April, I think it's your turn to read next, yeah?
Okay.
Have you got
Cyril
the
and...
quiz? Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
well done. Good. Okay, carry on.
Cyril and Antia knew that Australia was not quite so near as all that, but they agreed to stop using the spades and to go on with their hands. This was quite easy because the sand at the bottom of the hole was very soft and fine and dry like sea sand, and there were little shells in it. Fancy it having been wet sea here once, all sloppy and shiny, said Jane, with fishes and congeries and coral and mermaids and masts of ships and wrecked Spanish treasure. I wish we could find a gold doubloon or something, Cyril said. How did the sea get carried away? Robert asked. Not in a pail, silly, said his brother. Father says the earth got too hot underneath, as you do in bed sometimes, so it just hunched up its shoulders, and the sea had to slip off like the blankets do us, and the shoulder was left sticking out and turned into dry land. Let's go and look for shells. I think that little cave looks likely, and I see something sticking out there, like a bit of wrecked ship's anchor, and it's beastly hot in the Australian hole. The others agreed, but Antia went on digging. She always liked to finish a thing when she had once begun it. She felt it would be a disgrace to leave that hole without getting through to Australia. The cave was disappointing because there were no shells, and the wrecked ship's anchor turned out to be only the broken end of a pickaxe handle, and the cave party were just making up their minds that sand makes you thirstier when it is not by the seaside, and someone had suggested that they all go home for lemonade when Antia suddenly screamed, "Cyril, come here! Oh, come quick! It's alive! It'll get away! Quick!" They all hurried back. "It's a rat! I shouldn't wonder," said Robert. Father says they infest old places, and this must be pretty old if the sea was here thousands of years ago. "Perhaps it is a snake," said Jane, shuddering. "Let's look," said Cyril, jumping into the hole. "I'm not afraid of snakes. I like them. If it is a snake, I will tame it, and it will follow me everywhere, and I'll let it sleep around my neck at night." "No, you won't," said Robert firmly. He shared Cyril's bedroom. Cyril's bedroom, but you may if it is a rat. "Oh, don't be silly," said Antia. "It's not a rat. It's much bigger, and it's not a snake. It's got feet. I saw them. And fur. No, not the spade. You'll hurt it. Dig with your hands. And let it hurt me instead. That's so likely, isn't it?" said Cyril, seizing a spade. "Oh, don't," said Antia. "Squirrel, don't." It sounds silly, but it said something. It really and truly did. "What?" "It said, 'You let me alone.'" But Cyril merely observed that his sister must have gone off her head, and he and Robert dug with spades, while Antia sat on the edge of the hole, jumping up and down with hotness and anxiety. They dug carefully, and presently everyone could see that there really was something moving in the bottom of the Australian hole. Then Antia cried out, "I'm not afraid, let me dig," and fell on her knees and began to scratch like a dog does when he has suddenly remembered where it was that he buried his bone. "Oh, I felt fur," she cried, half laughing and half crying. "I did indeed, I did," when suddenly a dry husky voice in the sand made them all jump back, and their hearts jumped nearly as fast as they did. "Let me alone," it said, and now everyone heard the voice and looked at the others to see if they had heard it too. "But we want to see you," said Robert bravely. "I wish you'd come out," said Antia, also taking courage. "Oh, well, if that's your wish," the voice said, and the sand stirred and spun and scattered, and something brown and furry and fat came rolling out into the hole, and the sand fell off it, and it sat there, yawning and rubbing the ends of its eyes with its hands. "I believe I must have dropped asleep," it said, stretching itself. The children stood round the hole in a ring, looking at the creature they had found. It was worth looking at. Its eyes were on long horns like a snail's eyes, and it could move them in and out like telescopes. It had ears like a bat's ears, and its stubby body was shaped like a spider's and covered with thick soft fur. Its legs and arms were furry too, and it had hands and feet like a monkey's.
Well done.
What?
Well done, good.
It's quite frightening.
Well, you can imagine as children, it was a good fun story to have read to you before bed. It's like, oh. Good. Well done. Nicely read. Okay, so couple of words for you. One of them I think you'll expect. Let's have a look. The first one, it's like going back to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, this one. Conger eels. Conger eels.
Conger eels. Conger eels.
Yeah, well done. And then fishes. I know normally we say fish, and especially when we're talking about the flesh and eating fish and chips. But fishes, it's like different kinds of fish, different breeds of fish. Okay, so different species of fish. When you see fishes, it tends to be talking about species. Okay, so fishes. Try it.
Fishes. Oh, I have problem with H in the middle.
Shiz.
Yeah.
Okay, try it without the fit at the beginning. Just say shiz. Shiz.
Shiz.
Okay, fishes.
Fishes.
That's better. That's better. So just practice the shiz bit, because that's what you're struggling with. It's like, because it's just that shiz. Okay, but I think you can say it, so you've not got a problem with that. So you just got to get the fit on the beginning. Fishes, all the fishes in the sea.
Fishes.
That's it.
Fishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it is in the beginning, it's no problem. But it is in the middle.
When it's in the middle.
Problem.
That just comes with practice. Okay. Now the next one is doubloon, not Dublin. Doubloon. You've got to get the long oo. Doubloon.
Doubloon.
Yes,
Doubloon.
so famous for gold doubloons in treasure. Yeah, that's what pirates used to bury, and we used to steal them off the Spanish Armada, the gold doubloons. Okay. Hey, did you see about that old piano that was found in the UK with a great big bag of gold coins in it? Ah! £500,000 worth of gold coins in an old piano. Don't you wish you'd had that old piano? Okay, the next one is a pickaxe handle. So again, it's a bit of a tongue twister. A pickaxe handle. Pickaxe handle. Try it.
Pickaxe. Oh, pickaxe. Pickaxe handle.
Yeah,
Pickaxe handle.
that's it. Good. Then lemonade. It's got a long A at the end. Lemonade. Orangeade, lemonade.
Lemonade.
That's it. Lemonade, yeah. The drink, like a squash. We often call it squash. Generally in England, lemonade is sparkling. Lemon squash is like a cordial. So lemonade, if somebody offers you lemonade, expect it to be a sparkling lemony drink, okay? Then Anthea. Yeah, so we've got Cyril, Anthea, lamb, squirrel. That's Cyril. They obviously like giving nicknames. Then the next one, last word, single word, to seize, seizing. That's it, good. And then you get two smileys actually. Said, well done. You corrected yourself several times. Said. And buried. You corrected yourself again, not buried, buried. Now there are parts of the UK where they say buried, dead and buried, but we do say buried, to bury somebody. Yeah, to bury, not a berry, like raspberry, strawberry. Okay, a berry, to bury. And then the last bit, just inflection. Oh, no, that's it. Okay, so just said and buried, like dead and buried, okay? Well done.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
No questions? Everybody happy?
Yeah. I'm just curious what kind of animal it is.
Well, it isn't.
Now.
It's a fairy. It probably wouldn't thank you for calling it an animal. Fairies are very, very particular, you know. Of course, they don't know it's a fairy yet, but the fact that it's so strange looking, and it's actually a sand fairy. As we read the book, you'll find out more. But if my memory serves me well, it calls itself a sand fairy. What manner of creature? Sometimes it's worth saying creature rather than animal. But then, you know, we're all animals, really, if we're living and breathing.
But a fairy is for me beautiful.
I know.
Nice. It isn't.
It hasn't got snail feelers where its eyes are, and it's not got bat's ears, and it's not fat.
And the eyes like telescopes. Oh, the eyes like...
Well, it's like I don't know if you've seen a snail, the way it uses its eyes, the way and it does. They retract and expand. If you see, if it touches, if one of the eye stalks touches something, it goes back, it retracts. I think it'd be quite handy to have eyes like that. You'd be able to look round corners. Come on. There's a definite advantage. But yes, not the pretty fairies that you think of with gossamer wings. Okay, so let's see. Reem, do you want to try speaking to me? I'll see if I can hear you. Do you want to try your mic? Okay, I can't hear anything, I'm afraid. No, okay. So we will leave it there for this week. Yep, me too as well. It happens. I mean, we lose voice, we get voice. Oh, hang on,
Hello?
I've got a bit of a voice here. Hello, Reem.
Hello?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Is that
Yay.
okay or not? Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's see if we can get you reading a little bit. Is that okay? Do you want to try?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do. Okay, Reem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type it up
Yes.
in local chat so you don't have to push your computer.
Okay.
Okay? So try reading it from local chat. We'll just do a bit, okay?
Yes. Yes. What on the earth is it just shall we talk it home? This train its long eyes to talk at the instead. Does she always talk nonsense, it or is it only the rubbish on her head that makes her silly?
Okay, so let's start with, we're going to do this bit by bit. Okay,
Yes.
so we got Jane with a long A. Okay, try it, Jane.
Yes. Jane.
Jane, that's it. And take. Shall we take it home? To
Jane.
take something. Try it, take.
Take.
That's better. Good. It's the same with shiny. That A, that long A sound. Okay. Okay, let's carry on.
Okay. From yes. It's scornful. Jones had as it spoke. She doesn't mean to be silly. Answer said gently. We none of us do. Whether you may think, don't be frightened. We don't want to hurt you. You know.
Okay, well done. Okay, so okay, just bear with me a second. So one word here, scornfully. Okay, try that. Scornfully.
Scornfully.
Yes, yes. If you look at someone scornfully, you're looking at them as if they're stupid, as if they're, as if you can't believe what they just said. It's not a nice word to scorn somebody. It's to really look at them as if they've just said something really stupid. That's what he's doing. She said, it's looking at the hat, and it's kind of thinking, what a stupid hat. Okay. So
Okay.
I can't really. I'm trying to think if I've got an animation in my thing that would give me the facial expression to be scornful, but it's basically contemptuous. You could say contemptuously, but that might not help you either. You raise part of your lip a bit, and you maybe squint your eyes a bit, and you're like, what? Okay. Because he's saying to her, is it only the rubbish on her head that makes her silly? As in, is it that stupid hat that makes her so stupid? So he's saying scornful things and looking scornfully at her. Okay, the next one, just this bit at the end. Okay, let's try this. We don't want to hurt you, you know. When you say you know, it's like, do you understand in this context? Okay, we don't want to hurt you, you know. Try it.
We don't want to hurt you. You know.
That's it, yeah. Now, you know is a funny word in English. It's a funny little phrase in English. It's often just thrown into general conversation, but especially by young people, you know, and they'll talk, you know, like it's like, you know, but in this book, in this context, it actually means, do you understand? We don't want to hurt you. Do you understand? It's true, honestly. Ask Eleanor about the princes, you know what I mean, don't you, Eleanor? You know. Okay, so
Indeed, you know.
it's really it's very difficult to say it naturally, you know. It's you really have to not think about it, you know, and just sort of throw it in every so often, but it still has to make sense, you know. I'm so tough to it's really difficult for me to speak like that because I don't speak like that. All that education, and they can't help but say, you know. Okay, so one last bit for you then, Reem, here you go.
Yes. Yes. Heart me, it said, my frighten up my word. Why as if I were nobody in particular. All its far stood out like a cat is going to fail. Well, said still kindly. Perhaps if we know perhaps if we know who you are in particular, we would think of some things to say that wouldn't make you angry. Everything we've said so far seem to have done so. Are you don't to get angry because really we don't know.
Very good. Well done. I like that. Who are you? And don't get angry because it's like they've met somebody famous and they don't know who it is. Very good. Okay, so just this little bit. Well done. Nicely read. So that first one is upon my word. Yeah, upon my word. It's an interjection again, and it's sort of to say, I can't believe it. It's a little old-fashioned nowadays, but you might read it in books. Upon my word. Try it.
Upon
Yep. I heard a little bit of that. It broke off, I'm afraid. But it's just like saying, good grief. It's just surprise. Upon my word, what is this? But nowadays people would be more likely to say, good grief, what's this? Okay, then the next word though is fur, not far, fur, like the purr of a cat when you stroke its fur. Okay, try it. Fur.
fur.
That's
Fur.
much better. Good. And then
Fur.
fur. Yeah. No need to roll the R. Honestly, we don't bother. Fur. No, just fur. Then fight with a long I. Fight. Try it.
Fight.
Yes, that's it. We've got fright, flight, fight. Okay, they've all got this long I sound. And then the last one, he knew, not know. Okay? If we knew your name, we wouldn't need to ask. If we knew who you are, if we knew.
Yes.
Yeah, try it again, because that broke up. Knew?
If we knew.
That's it. Yes, good. And what happened there is your brain went, oh, it should be no, but it's not. It is correct. If only I had known. If I knew that, I would do this. If I knew how to conjugate my verbs in German, my German would be much better.
Yes.
When I know how to conjugate my German verbs, my German will be much better. Okay, well done. Nicely read. So next week we will carry on from you don't know, it said. Okay, so if we knew, we don't know. Ah. And you'll find the corrections on the forum. Let me give you the link. So you can ask any questions there as well. And Eleanor, would you like to share? Because I don't think everybody was here. I'm not sure.
Yes.
If you share your document again. Okay, and that document is Eleanor's work, hard work, going through the text and finding out any of the strange. Now remember, Eleanor's reading a slightly different version to the book, so don't worry if you find oast houses.
I can switch.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
so
it might be easier,
could
but
you give me
it's
a
fine.
link, so
I'll give you the link. Yeah, I'll give you. It's in
Yeah.
the forum, but I'll give you the link now.
Ah, okay.
And this is the one. As you
So
can see, it's
will paste
Gutenberg.
it.
It's Gutenberg, but it
Thank
must be
you.
a different file. I don't know how they do their
Evidently.
database, but
One was with images and one without, but I didn't think it would be a problem, but evidently.
it's obviously it is.
Okay, I replace it.
Thank you.
So it will be
Great.
fine next week.
Excellent. Good. All right. So thank you so much for coming, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the first part of our new book. And maybe we'll be able to visit a gravel pit next week. Okay, so I will love you and leave you, and I will see you. Oh, Eleanor, is German on tonight? Have we got a German session?
I hope so, but I
haven't heard
seen any
anything.
news.
I'd have time
No,
tonight. That's the only
no,
reason I'm
perhaps-
asking. So I'll maybe
So
just
I
turn
hope
up.
there will. Yeah, we will see. I hope it
I
will
hope
be.
so too. Okay. You're welcome, April. Thank you. So bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Don't have any idea, Lynn. Why it will become worse?
Well, there are so many possibilities. There are so many actions. Okay. So you go back in the past and you say to your past self, don't go out tonight with your friends, stay home and study, and you pass all your exams with flying colours and you get a fantastic job, and then the company goes bankrupt and you're accused of fraud and just an example. Well, you say you have nothing to lose, but it's more than just loss. It's about all the different possibilities that can go wrong. I think if you're in a place where you like yourself now, even if you're not quite where you thought you would be when you were younger, I think we need to value that personally. But that's a scary wish, Mars, going back in the past to correct your mistakes. First, you have to recognise your mistakes. Okay, so everybody opened the book. Yep. Okay, Shiny, have you got the book open? We'll start with the little note to John Bland. And whenever you're ready, Shiny, if you would like to start reading.
To jump blank, you mean this part?
Yeah, that part, and then just carry on reading till I tell you to stop, okay?
Okay. My name. You are so very small. You have not learned to read at all. Yet never a printed book withstands the urgence of your dimpled hands. So though this book is for yourself, let mother keep it on the shelf till you can read. Oh, days that pass, that day will come too soon. Alas, beautiful as the day, the house was 3 miles from the station, but before the dusty hill, the bride had rattled along for 5 minutes, the children began to put their heads out of the carriage window and to say, "Aren't we nearly there?" And every time they passed the house, which was not very often, they all said, "Oh, is this it?" But it never was, till they reached the very top of the hill, just past the chalk quarry and before you come to the gravel pit. And then there was a white house with a green garden and an orchard beyond. And Mother said, "Here we are." "How wet the house is," said Robert. "And look at the roses," said Anthea. "And the plums," said Jen. It is rather decent," Cyril admitted. The baby said, "Want to go walking?" And the fly stopped with the last rattle and jolt. Everyone got its legs kicked or its feet trodden on in the scramble to get out of the carriage that very minute, but no one seemed to mind. Mother, curiously enough, was in no hurry to get out, and even when she had come down slowly and by the step, and with no jump at all, she seemed to wish to see the boxes carried in, and even to pay the driver, instead of joining in that first glorious rush round the garden and the orchard and the thorny, thistly, weedy, bramble wilderness beyond the broken gate and the dry fountain at the side of the house. But the children were wiser for once. It was not really a pretty house at all. It was quite ordinary, and Mother thought it was rather inconvenient, and was quite annoyed at there being no shelves to speak of, and hardly a cupboard in the place. Father used to say that the ironwork on the roof and coping was like an architect's nightmare. But the house was deep in the country, with no other house in sight, and the children had been in London for 2 years, without so much as once going to the seaside, even for a day, by an excursion train. And so the White House seemed to them a sort of fairy place.
So, hello, it's Lynn here from the Learn English Network at the English Book Club, and we're starting a new book today. Now, did anybody see which book we're starting to read? Eleanor, I think you've shared the link, yes?
Yes, I've opened a new document, Google Doc,
Thank you.
with
Excellent.
vocabulary.
Thank you very much. Good. Well, the actual book is here. Okay, and it was originally written as a children's book. It is a children's book by somebody called Edith Nesbit, but it was a little bit like Charles Dickens in that initially the book was written in different parts. It was a serialized a series of stories written for a newspaper. Okay, and she was an author. She wrote fantasy and horror, believe it or not. So she was very interested in the supernatural and fairies. Yes, Edith Nesbit. Yeah. So yes, I know, isn't it nice? We've read a lot of books written by men recently, and we're back to a female author. Now, 5 Children and It is about a family of children. Well, it's about the children, basically. Mainly it's about the children. 5 of them. There's the clues in the title. And it. Now, has anybody looked online to see what it is, apart from Eleanor?
I have, but
What is it, then? Eleanor, go on. What's it? When it says 5 children, clear, it.
It's ancient sand fairy.
Yeah!
That is in the sun. So.
Yeah, that's right. It's a fairy. It is a fairy. And she made up the name for the fairy, a Samiad. Samiad. I think it's a silent P, like Psalm. So Samiad. That's one word that really, you can pronounce it however you want, because I've no idea. And she's no longer with us, sadly, Edith Nesbit. So we can't ask her. Oh, Shiny, you're moving house. Ah, so exciting. Do you know it's one of the most stressful things you can do? Moving house, having a baby, getting married. 1 out of 3, Shiny. Oh, well, it's going to be fun. You'll love it. The nice thing about moving house is you can start again, clear out all the old stuff and rearrange everything, and then just, the way you envisage it. It's when you've been living in a place for a while, you get kind of stuck in your ways and you can't be bothered to move anything. I hope it goes well. Okay, so these children, they are sent away on holiday. Now, the toddler, the very young child, is often sort of has to go, the children have to look after the toddler, okay? And again, a lot of families ran like this, that the parents had the children and the children would look after each other from the oldest to the youngest. So there's the 5 children, and then there's the fairy. Now, the fairy, like most fairies, grants wishes, but he's a grumpy fairy and doesn't like to grant wishes, okay? He's very bad-tempered, and he does not like granting wishes because it's tiring and they normally go wrong. Yeah, it looks like a no-go. Well, nobody really knows what children, what children look like, what fairies look like. Not really. So quite often you say fairy and you think of these beautiful creatures with wings and bright colours, and I kind of like the way Edith Nesbit's portrayed it as, not the most beautiful creature in the world, shall we say. Okay, each wish will end at sunset. Okay, so when the children find this fairy and it grants their wishes, it's with a caveat, a warning, that the wishes end at sunset. Okay? And of course, in the nature of children, if you're offered a wish, what do you do? Even if you're warned, oh, it'll probably go wrong. If you were offered a wish, would you take it? Would you make a wish, April?
I don't know. At this moment, I don't have any wishes. So I don't think so.
Awesome.
I'm afraid actually. If you,
what would you be afraid of?
Yeah, and it is going in the different way that it is not the way that I wanted actually. Not the you say something. I wish that, but then you regret your wish, and what then? You can't send it back. It is already there. Oh no! I always think of the wish Aladdin with the lamp of Aladdin. I mean, not our Aladdin, Aladdin lamp, and the giant ghosts will come there. That is in my mind. If you say to me a wish, I always think of that. So it
So
frightened
you're
me
frightened
actually.
it could go wrong. Well, we do have a saying in English, be careful what you wish for. You might wish for
Yeah, that's true.
eternal peace. Well, death is very peaceful. Okay. You might wish for world peace. Well, the world would be very peaceful if it wasn't for humans. So, you just have to really be careful what you wish for. What about you guys? Muzz, Shiny, Eleanor. Would you just take the wish, or would you be worried like April?
I think I would. Yeah, it's risky, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. What do you think?
I think you're
Shiny
very
too,
brave,
you
but I
see?
think you're very human. I think most people would think, if I'm really careful, if I'm very specific, what could go wrong? Shiny,
Exactly,
sure I
but
would.
perhaps it's illusory. No.
To go back, from past, to past, I mean. So I can fix my mistakes before, so everything will be
Wow,
better for me.
oh my god, that is so dangerous, Moz.
What I mean,
Well, what if you correct a so-called mistake and then you realise you've made everything so much worse?
oh, really mean. uh, how about the way I was doing so many things in the past, so I was thinking if I can change it, and I don't